Hello, everyone. This is Callie Teegardin back this Wednesday. You may have missed us last week. We were at our Relationship Marketing Grand Summit. It was a virtual event. It was amazing, but I didn't want to compete with that because many of the people I know were attending that event. And so tonight we are back, and I have a really special guest, Jennifer Johnson from Indiana, my home state. So we're both Hoosiers. Though I believe you grew up in Ohio, correct, Jennifer?
I did. I'm a Buckeye.
You're
Sorry.
a Buckeye. You're a Buckeye in Indiana. I'm a Hoosier in Texas.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. So Jennifer and I are going to be talking tonight about making a splash and really making a splash in business. Jennifer and I met a couple years ago. I guess the first time I was up in Indiana, probably about 5 years ago, doing a send out cards events. Have stayed in touch since. And to tell you guys a little bit about Jennifer, she's a relationship marketing coach. She's owner of the TTR Networking groups.
Yeah, to the rescue networking.
Right, so to the rescue. I was going to get there, and we'll talk about that.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
It's all right. You're also a John Maxwell certified principal trainer.
It's actually Jack Canfield, and it's Success Principles, and it's the if you've ever seen the book, I think it's the
really thick one.
Yeah, the one that's got like 68 success principles in it, and it's unbelievable. But yeah, Jack Canfield. Yeah.
Love Jack Canfield. My bad on that.
No problem. No problem.
So, and you love music. You've loved music since you were a young age, and you believe everything goes better with a little harmony in life.
Yes, that's a good one. That's it. Yeah, that's it. You got it.
I love that. And so that's really drawn you to what you do now, because you are all about helping entrepreneurs and business people fine-tune their connections. You love how music brings people together, and you, through To the Rescue networking groups, are bringing people together and connecting them. And you have 14 groups all over Indiana. You meet both in person and online. Right now, more online because of
everybody's
the COVID
online.
days.
Everybody's
online. And you're also a manager with Send Out Cards. And so I'm really excited to dig in tonight with you on this, how really to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. There's so many people networking, right? And if you think about it, you may go to a networking event, even though yours are exclusive, but if you go to a chamber event or something, you may not be the only person doing what you're doing. Plus, I think this whole concept of networking online feels a little different for a lot of people than in person, right? I've talked to a lot of people, and in person seems so easy, but online seems harder. So let's just jump into all of this. And so let's start with this whole online. So what have you noticed the big differences of meeting in person versus now moving to online? And what tips can you give to our listeners tonight?
Well, I would definitely say it's a different world. And it's over, now we've done it like 6 months, because we basically were all meeting in person, didn't have the Zoom or the virtual world, even we weren't even thinking about it really. I think down the road we might have, but all of a sudden we're like, okay, we got to do something. I guess it was me. I thought, I've got to do something. So I have 14 groups, and I reached out to my leaders and just said to them, we need to do something. I couldn't see why we would need to stop. If anything, we needed to keep better in touch. That was just kind of my instinct that, okay, got to do this. So I think maybe one of our 14 groups didn't meet that week, but everybody else made the transition. Probably what I would say is it was kind of fun at the beginning, and then it got kind of tiring after, and now it is even, that COVID fatigue thing is kind of set in. So we have our weekly meeting. We are industry exclusive. So it is hard to get people to visit because we only can have one of each thing. So it's not just like anybody can join us at all. So we have to be a little more intentional. And I would say your question about how do you do the online? I think you have to be even more of everything that you were in. When you were in person, you could hug each other. I mean, we're probably not going to be hugging each other for a while. So you have to figure out ways, or shaking hands. You have to be figuring out ways to be a little bit more kind of a virtual hug, a virtual handshake. You have to think of ways that set you apart. And yes, we're both with send out cards, and I'm always going to be about, if nothing else, this pandemic has shown me 6 months, I've gotten, my cards get through no matter whether I can go meet somebody face to face or not. So you got to do something like that. And maybe that's not your thing. Maybe there's, maybe I do think, I don't know. I know, Callie, you talk about it all the time too, but I don't know who would be without an account, honestly. But if you do something, you have to go over the top. You have to do something a lot more. And the online world, I mean, we could, I know we're not, but we could both be sitting here with pajama bottoms or, whatever, and people don't see the whole thing. So you have to be a lot more, you have to be really tuned in, whether you're talking or whether you're presenting, and you have to pay attention to what people are doing with their face. And, and just, I know I'm on calls, and I know I've been guilty of it myself. You're multitasking. So you're not as present as you need to be. So it's being present. It's thinking of ways to go kind of beyond what people are expecting. And it might be a text message. It might be a phone call. It might be a card. It might be mentioning on social media or something. You have to go above and beyond to create that relationship, because I think that's the only reason we have the network of, I say we, but it's a group of people. I didn't do it all alone. So,
Right.
But I don't know. I kind of gave you a big answer. Is that
It's
good?
all right. I like
Okay.
big answers. It works.
Okay.
So so as you're working with like the business owners and entrepreneurs, and you just shared some of the ways to be unique, but are there other things you teach them to really make a splash in their marketplace or in the marketplace with their customers or connections?
Well, I would think probably the biggest thing is a lot of people come into a networking world. I think this answers your question. They come in expecting that if they give, that somebody's going to immediately return that. And if they're not giving to give, they're probably in the wrong place. Our groups are, we are industry exclusive, but relationships are what the number one thing that everybody says. The reason they stay around is because, we've got people who've been part of it for 10 years. We've been around for 10 years. I've been with Send Out Cards for 10 years, which happens to be the same time everything started. But I guess I just tell people, if you're here to get instant business, you're probably going to be, dissatisfied. It's going to be discouraging, because people need to get to know who you are, and you have to come in willing to give and give and give, and you may not get it back right away. So that would be something I'm always telling people. And you can tell the people who understand that, that.
Right. Yeah. No one goes to a networking group expecting to buy anything.
Exactly.
So if you show up wanting to sell something right away, it's not going to happen. I mean, sometimes connections are made and you're the right person at the right time, but that's not typical.
Right. And I actually was speaking to one of our members today, and he said, it took 3 years, but I'm starting to really get a lot of good referrals. And I'm like, yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, I usually tell people, thinking about what, how you build a regular relationship. I mean, in your personal life or whatever in the world, it doesn't instantaneously happen. And the idea that I would, want, if I just met you today, Callie, and you're an insurance agent or you're a financial planner, I'm not going to, you look very pleasant, but I don't think I really want to have you looking at my finances quite yet, or my
just met me and don't know me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. And I think, I talked about it last week at the Relationship Marketing Grand Summit about there's a sowing season and there's a reaping season. And the mistake most people think are they're the same sees it. And
Right.
you need to sow the seeds and sow the seeds and sow the seeds. And when you continue to sow the seeds and do it long enough, you will reap the harvest. That's the natural, but you have to sow the seeds first. And I think, sometimes we still live in this microwave society and we want it
Mhm.
now.
Exactly. Exactly. I've had a number of people that reach out to me through our social media or website, and they'll say, well, I'd like to be at your meeting. And I see what they're selling is something like, I can just tell they want to hit all the groups and sell all their stuff. And that's all they care about. They don't understand that it's a much more extended thing than just doing that.
Right,
So,
because business and life is all about the relationships we build. And if you don't
exactly.
pour into the relationships, again, yeah, you may get some quick sales, but you're not going to get those long-term referrals. And so
Right.
you're going to constantly be always having to like knock on doors and do things, where you want to
Mhm.
get to this point where you build those really strong relationships, and the referrals come when you don't even ask for them. They just
Yeah.
start showing up.
Yes. That's when it really is kind of magical. It's like, no, you didn't see all the work I put in before, but it does pay you back. So yeah.
Right. And I think one of the things, too, and I'm looking at your sign again, we were talking about it pre-show about being you, right? And I think that is such a part of networking, such a part of business, that if you show up trying to be someone else or like everyone else, you're not giving to that group or to the world who you really are. And, back to your singing, you used to be insurance. And so what helped you to make that gap of, okay, I just have to be a regular insurance agent to like everyone else, to becoming the singing insurance agent, that people really began to know you for that?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny. What helped me? Well, it was when I decided I was singing on the weekends and I was making nice money on the weekends, but most of the week I was sitting in stuffy meetings with insurance people. And I'm like, I know that insurance is very important, but this is not what I signed up for. This is not, and I loved my music so much. And I worked with a marketing person who said to me, well, why can't you be the singing insurance agent? And I said, I don't know. Why can't I? And then I started thinking about it, and he helped me write the little jingle that is a tune that everybody knows, but we put my own words to it. And then I would go to networking events and start singing, and I would have people who now even 10 years later now are saying, sing that jingle again, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. It did get me a couple music jobs. And I do have an education degree, and I thought I was going to teach many years ago. So working with the networking people has not been a big stretch. It's been kind of like adult education, and we're just growing into this whole new world that has opened up with the virtual. So I'm excited about that. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, and so it is being unique. And I know
Yes.
about the same time you were doing all this, you also got involved in send out cards. So what did you see about send out cards to help you build those relationships and really share your uniqueness as well?
Well, and there's a lot of answers to that, but just to when I was looking, I was in insurance and I was trying to find a way to thank or it was a holiday. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I got 300 clients. If I don't send out a Christmas card, I'm really just ruining my future referrals. I mean, I knew that it really was, if I sent out, I would get referrals back. And I knew that the holidays definitely. So when I found send out cards, though, I think it was actually after the holidays. So I looked at a couple other things, nothing quite made sense. But the idea was, and I still run into people now that have other kind of options, but the personalization, being able to, customize and brand the back of the card, and being able to, I don't know. I don't even look at any other options out there, but the idea that you can go and pull off a picture of somebody doing something, pretty cool, a cheerleader or what, kids, parents. And with our new members, I'm always pulling pictures off of their Facebook, and a lot of times it'll have family members. Last week, I had a lady whose daughter had struggled with a cancer. It was pretty bad. And she died last week. And I prior to send out cards, I might not have had a way to do it, but because of all the social media pictures and stuff, and this was a young girl that was just full of Christ and everything else, and was beautiful. And so I took pictures from the Facebook and put it on a card. And I don't know that I would have done that 10 years ago. I mean, now I feel like that's what people really don't, until they get a card like that, they don't really know. And I've had that in my own life with people sending me cards, and I've sent it to other people, and they just are, literally almost in tears when they're either calling me or we're talking at some point, and that's, so that is the difference. You can be so unique. And if you're not doing some kind of something like that, I just kind of like, it's send out cards so easy, for one thing,
Right.
and affordable. But anyway, that's what I found. Now I'm kind of like, everybody needs to know about this, and they find out when they join our groups. But anyway, go ahead.
So no, I think it's great, because it's that unique touch that really, especially in these times, that make you different. So you had mentioned that, as people join your groups, they learn about it. So how do you teach them to use this in their businesses?
Well, we do have, in our groups, we're not just always meeting just to give referrals. We actually get together, so we do personal development and business tools. And so I'm in charge of it. So a couple of the themes, we have themes of the month. But the idea is, I've got it all over everywhere, relationship marketing. I mean, that's what it is. It's building the relationship. So it's part of, I try to be at a lot of the meetings to just be there as the reminder of it. And now we're on Zoom. So I'm able to be on a couple different calls in a day, or at some points the other day I was on 3 calls, within a very short time, because they were all meeting at once. But I'm always just trying to get them to realize, and so many of the stories in Cody's book and stuff just re-emphasize that. But if you don't stay in front of them with something that reminds them of you, I mean, then the next time they need what you do, they may not think of you. So you have to stay. So that's, the basic principle of being top of mind, and being that, we talk about it all the time. Some of the other groups, and I'm sorry, Callie, I'm kind of going off, some of the other groups that are similar to ours don't allow people to be in multiple groups. And I'm never going to encourage people to be in too many, but I say it's about the relationship. So if somebody is in this group and they're in another group, the top of the thing is, the priority is, make sure that they know who you are, build those relationships. So the next time they're thinking about, they need an insurance provider, or they need a mortgage or a real, that you're the first person that pops into their mind, because you have invested that energy in that, and you're not doing it to get back. But if you do it over time, people start, oh yeah, that's right, Callie does that. I gotta call Callie. So
right.
That's
so
the
if
kind
you
of
sow
stuff.
the seeds, you will reap. If you're not worried about exactly how you're going to reap them, just that you continue to sow. So now that we talked about send out cards, I do want to go show everyone how simple it is to send a card on this system. So I am going to pull up my app, and we're going to send a card. And let me click the right thing. And so here's my send out cards app, and I can come in here. I can send a birthday card, a thank you, holiday, sympathy, just because. I also love to build your own, like you. I love to stalk Facebook for photos, different photos of family. Most of us don't print our photos anymore. And so it's a great way to send someone a card. So I'm going to do our standard 2-panel greeting card. I hit create. I literally go and click where it says your photo here, and I'm going to go into my photos. And I was stalking you today, Jennifer. So I think this is what you had posted this for your mom's birthday.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so love this family photo, and I'm going to click save, and it's the front of the card. And now I can swipe to the inside left. I can add more photos, I can add text, or I can leave it blank. I swipe again, I'm on the inside right. This is where I typically like to add my message. So I just tap and I can type in my message, but one of the great things on the phone is I can also voice text it in. It was really great connecting with you, exclamation point. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your story, period. I look forward to seeing you in January, exclamation point, new line, all the best, comma. And there's the message, right? And I was
Cool.
talking before I stopped my voice text because Jennifer and I are going to be going to our leadership retreat in January. And so now I can come in here, I can select this text. And what I love is that we have all kinds of different fonts to choose from. Plus you can add your own font. So this is my own handwriting. And then I can come down here and I like to put it, I can also add my own signature. There's a way to do this in our system. You can add it in, you fill everything in to make that a little smaller and save. And there's the inside of the card with the message. I swipe again and there's the back of the card. So you can brand the back of the card for yourself and or your business. Love that. I hit the paper airplane and I am ready to send. I can send the card only, or I can add a gift, and we have lots of different gift items, things for men and women and baby and kids and gift cards, and our famous 2-pack of chocolate brownies. In this case, I'm just going to send the card. I can go into add contacts, and I've sent Jennifer cards before, so once you enter someone, they are in here. So I'm going to come in and pull her up. I have a few Jennifer's, and so there you are. I hit done, and now I go to the bottom of the screen, and you guys will see my card is free, including the stamp. It's based on the monthly subscription. I'm on our unlimited heartfelt prompting cards, so whenever I send a unique card out to a single recipient, send it out immediately, it goes out for free. I hit submit. I am done. Send out cards will then print, stuff, stamp, and mail this card for me. And I absolutely love it because you can do that type of card. You can also do what we call a system send, like a Christmas card where you can create one card and send it out to a group. And there's different pricing levels depending on what works for you. And if you're watching this webinar, please get back to the person who shared this webinar or Facebook Live with you. They can help you determine what's best for your needs. So Jennifer, I know when I first saw this, blew me away. Back when we got started, there was no app, but on the computer, and it was like, okay, that's simple. You just made my life easy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It couldn't be easier if I can figure it out.
Yeah. Are there other last minutes? We're about done here. Couple last questions. Do you have any other tips if someone's thinking about starting to use send out cards of ways to start reaching out to people?
Well, one of the, our whole network is the idea of the to the rescue and, the life preserver. And I came up with Make a Splash because I think you just have to start reaching out to your people first, because I think people misunderstand, or they don't understand how many people they already know, the context they already have. And if you start there, you're going to be, I have people all the time who come to the network, I'm just all, they're all beaten up. They don't know who to, and I'm like, you don't know a bunch of people that do. All the people know what you do. Have you told them? I think that's one of the hardest things to, or not the hardest, but it's one of those things that just like, oh yeah. Cause you probably had family members who go to somebody else for something and you're like, I do that. Why did they not know that? Well, you don't let them know that. And a lot of times in family member gatherings, we don't think about that. We're just assuming that everybody knows. And I think if you can go back to your context you already have, that's where you make a splash. You just kind of, do a little something different, and the little ripples, you just never know who it's going to affect. And, just have to put yourself out there a little bit to do that. So I would say, try it. I always say, try the 0 if you want to, but, you know, be intentional. Start thinking about who you need to reach out to. Who do you need to say thank you to? Who do you need to, you know, happy birthday, even if it's belated or
Right.
whatever.
There's so many ways to reach out
Exactly.
to people, definitely.
Exactly.
So last question for
Yeah.
you. I know you've been involved with Send Out Cards for a little over 10 years. Is there one story you'd like to share about being part of Send Out Cards or the cards in general that has truly made a difference in your life?
Well, I would definitely say, I think the whole thing, I tell people all the time. Now, I didn't, our network of almost, 100 people was, I didn't do it alone. I mean, I used Send Out Cards to do it. And I guess to pinpoint one story, I don't know. There was one thing many years ago when I first started. I was an insurance agent at the time. And there was a guy that was very quiet insurance man, and he was a good friend of mine. And I just started sending out Send Out Cards, and I sent him a card, which now in retrospect, his wife probably was like, what is she sending a card to you for? But I really just thanked him for the, he kind of accepted me in the insurance world. And I really was kind of like a square peg in a, or whatever. Yeah, square peg in a round hole kind of thing. And, but he saw me at an event not long after that. And he came up and gave me a big hug. And I mean, literally, I just kind of thought, it's, you know, little tears in his eyes. And it was just so nice that I'd made that kind of impression on him. And I really hadn't even done much. I just sent a nice card thanking him. And I would say if I've done, which I have, had that happen once, I've probably had that happen, you know, dozens of times since I started, just in their own way, you know, thanking me. And that's, in itself, that is what it's all about to me, is just making that connection well beyond what we do in our weekly meetings. You know, that's good, but this is just a great way to kind of cut through all of that and kind of get right to the heart, you know.
And really make an impact on others. So I love that story. So Jennifer, thank you so much for being on with me tonight, sharing your story. And for those of you that are watching, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with Jennifer and me. You probably have questions on the Send Out Card system. If you do, please get back with the person who invited you onto this webinar or shared this Facebook Live with you. They can help get all your questions answered, and we'd love for you to join us. So thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you, Jennifer. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.